Welcome to History Channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. A Texas cowboy in 1907 stands tall beneath the endless sky, his weathered clothes and calm gaze reflecting the harsh life of the open range. Horses, dust, and independence defined men like him, symbols of a fading frontier as modern America began to rise. Crowds gathered in Montgomery, Alabama on February 18, 1861, to witness Jefferson Davis take the oath as President of the Confederate States. Flags waved, bands played, and the air was filled with solemn pride and uncertainty, marking the birth of a nation soon to be torn apart by war. In 1942, 8 Nazi saboteurs were captured in Washington, D.C. After landing secretly on American shores during World War II, their mission, Operation Pastorius, aimed to destroy factories and railroads. But quick FBI action exposed them. The event revealed how war's reach extended deep into American soil. Around 1892, officers of the Civil Guard posed in Cuba, their crisp uniforms and stern faces representing Spain's colonial authority. This paramilitary force enforced order amid growing unrest on the island, as whispers of independence began to rise against the last remnants of Spanish rule in the Americas. In the mid-2000s, Iraqi insurgents moved through ruined streets and desert roads, fighting against U.S. forces after the invasion. Their small groups used guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and bombs, marking one of the most complex and deadly phases of modern warfare in a country struggling to find stability. Around 1860, a woman stands as attendants use long poles to lift layers of fabric over her wide crinoline frame. This elaborate process, both elegant and impractical, captured the extremes of Victorian fashion, where beauty often demanded patience, assistance, and careful movement beneath mountains of cloth and steel. In 1914, Serbian officers posed for a photograph, unaware that their nation's tensions would soon ignite a world war. Their proud stance reflected the fierce nationalism of the Balkans, a region already burdened by conflict and alliances that would soon pull all of Europe into chaos. At Bonn American High School in 1980, students from across the world gathered in a single classroom in West Germany. Children of diplomats and soldiers shared a brief moment in Cold War history, learning together in a divided Europe where East and West eyed each other with suspicion. In 1989, in the heart of Beijing, pro-democracy protesters overran and destroyed a tank in Tiananmen Square. The act was defiant and symbolic, a cry for freedom met with immense risk. It became one of the defining images of resistance in a century marked by political struggle. In the 1870s, Leopold von Sacher-Masoch posed for a portrait, unaware his name would define a psychological term. The Austrian writer's explorations of power and pain fascinated readers. Yet he disliked the label masochist, which turned his work into a symbol of human complexity and misunderstood desire. In 1960, police opened fire on peaceful protesters in Sharpeville, South Africa. 69 people were killed as they opposed apartheid-passed laws that restricted black movement. The massacre shocked the world and marked a turning point in the global struggle against racial oppression and white minority rule. In January 1959, rescuers found 8 of the 9 Dyatlov Pass hikers frozen in the Ural Mountains. Their tent lay torn open, their bodies scattered in the snow. The mystery of what drove them into the freezing night remains one of the most haunting tales in Soviet history. In 1948 New Jersey, 11-year-old Florence Sally Horner was photographed months after being kidnapped by 51-year-old Frank LaSalle. For nearly 2 years, he held her captive across several states. Her tragic story would later echo in literature as a chilling reminder of innocence lost and trust betrayed. On September 6, 1943, crewmen of a TBF Avenger leapt from their sinking aircraft after ditching near the USS Cabot. The damaged plane slipped beneath the waves as the men struggled in open water. It was another perilous day in the relentless air war of the Pacific. In 1858, in Oberlin, Ohio, townspeople united to rescue a captured fugitive named John Price. Their defiance of federal law led to arrests and trials. But their act became a symbol of moral courage in a divided nation moving steadily toward the Civil War and emancipation. A doll shop in Japan, 1915, reveals rows of delicate handcrafted figures, each painted with quiet precision. These dolls, rooted in centuries of tradition, reflected Japan's artistry and cultural pride during a period of modernization, when ancient craftsmanship coexisted with growing Western influence and industrial change. In Berlin, 1932, tenants joined together in a rare alliance of Nazis and Communists, united briefly by desperation. Their strike against rising rents showed how economic hardship blurred political lines in a city on edge. Just months before Germany plunged fully into dictatorship and division. In 1912, inventor Gleb Kotelnikov posed proudly beside a mannequin wearing his new knapsack parachute. His design aimed to save pilots' lives during emergencies, an innovation born from tragedy. The simple backpack form would later revolutionize aviation safety and become standard equipment in aircraft around the world. On a September morning in 1967, Sweden awoke to drive on the right-hand side for the first time. Confused drivers filled the roads as traffic halted, shifted, and cautiously moved again. The nationwide change, called Dagen H, marked a rare moment of organized chaos in modern history. In 1944 Florence, weary American soldiers met an armagero, an Italian armored knight reenactor. Amid ruins of war, the sight was surreal, modern soldiers confronting echoes of medieval chivalry. It captured a brief human moment where history's layers collided under the uncertain light of liberation and survival. In 1910 Indianapolis, Sarah Breedlove Walker, known as Madam C.J. Walker, promoted her hair grower for black women. Through determination and entrepreneurship, she built a cosmetics empire. Her success made her one of America's first black female millionaires, a pioneer who redefined beauty and business in an unequal society. During a low-level attack south of Heligoland on September 17, 1944, British Bristol bowfighters swept across the sea. Their cameras captured 2 German trawler-type auxiliaries under fire. Smoke rose as machine guns blazed, documenting a daring moment in the deadly campaign to cut off Germany's maritime supply lines. In April 1993, basketball star Shaquille O'Neal shattered the backboard during a game against the Nets. The sheer force of his dunk brought the entire frame crashing down, stunning the crowd. It became one of the most iconic moments in sports, symbolizing power, energy, and unstoppable athletic dominance. Around 1944, a B-17G Flying Fortress limped home after being struck over Cologne. An anti-aircraft shell had exploded in its nose, destroying vital instruments. Despite near-total damage, the pilot guided the crippled plane safely to base. An extraordinary act of skill and endurance amid the chaos of war. In 1971, Illinois, former police officer Richard Nuccio accepted a $1,300 check from fellow officers for his defense fund. Convicted of killing a teenager in 1968, he claimed self-defense, saying the youth had a knife. No knife was ever found, and the case sharply divided Chicago over police conduct. On May 26, 1965, Malaysian Rangers stepped out of an RAF Belu H-1 helicopter near the Malaysia-Thai border. The humid jungle awaited them, part of counterinsurgency operations against communist guerrillas. Their mission reflected the tense regional struggles of Southeast Asia during the height of the Cold War. In 1943, Soong Mei-ling, wife of Chinese leader Chiang Kai-shek, visited the United States. Known to many as Madame Chiang, she addressed Congress and appealed for support against Japan. Her fluent English and grace captivated Americans, symbolizing China's wartime resilience and the fragile alliance between East and West. In 1939 Harlem, two teenage sisters, Truus and Freddie Overstegen, quietly joined the Dutch resistance. They carried out sabotage and assassinations against Nazi occupiers, posing as harmless girls before striking. Their courage, hidden behind youthful faces, made them unlikely heroes in one of Europe's darkest chapters of war. In 1900 Galveston, Texas, the devastating hurricane destroyed St. Mary's Orphan Asylum. 10 Sisters of Charity and 90 children perished as the storm surged. Only 3 boys survived. The tragedy became one of America's deadliest natural disasters, a haunting reminder of faith and loss on the Gulf Coast. In 1946, German dentist Martin Hellinger stood before a British tribunal, sentenced to 15 years for war crimes. He had removed gold from the teeth of concentration camp victims. After his release, he received compensation from West Germany, a controversial decision that exposed the uneasy justice of the post-war years. A rainy street in 1920s, Munich shimmers beneath lamplight as figures move through the mist. The quiet scene captures a city between wars, burdened by inflation and uncertainty. Behind the calm surface, political unrest brewed, setting the stage for the turbulent rise of a darker era in Germany. In 1911, a group of village children posed for a photograph in the Kyiv region. Their worn clothes and curious expressions reflected the rural life of pre-revolutionary Ukraine. Within a few years, their world would change forever, as war, revolution, and famine swept through Eastern Europe. The Grand Hotel in Brighton stood shattered on October 12, 1984. After an IRA bomb targeted British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. The explosion tore through the building, killing 5 and injuring many. It was one of the most dramatic moments in Britain's long struggle against Irish Republican terrorism. In 1960, U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower visited Taiwan, then led by Chiang Kai-shek's government in exile. The trip symbolized Washington's support for the Republic of China during rising Cold War tensions. Crowds cheered as Eisenhower's presence reaffirmed the fragile alliance against communist expansion in Asia. In October 1944, U.S. Navy ace David McCampbell posed proudly beside his F-6F Hellcat on the USS-X. During the Battle of Leyte Gulf, he shot down 9 enemy aircraft in one day. With 34 confirmed kills, McCampbell became America's top naval fighter ace of World War II. In June 1848, Barricades rose on the Rue du Faubourg du Temple in Paris. Revolutionaries fought French troops during a failed uprising against economic hardship and inequality. Photographer Charles-François Thibault captured the scene, one of the earliest images of street combat in European history, frozen in time through smoke and defiance. Around 1865, Empress Elizabeth of Austria turned away from a photographer, shielding her face from the early paparazzi. Known for her beauty and reclusiveness, she resisted publicity. The moment captured her delicate struggle with fame, royalty, and privacy in an age when photography began to chase even the unreachable. In 1943 Iran, a Polish refugee carried a loaf of bread through an evacuation camp. Thousands had fled the Soviet Union through Persia during World War II. Food shortages in Iran caused resentment. Yet scenes like this showed both the desperation and quiet dignity of displaced families finding survival. On June 24, 1926, crowds filled the old market square in Warsaw, Poland, for St. John's Fair. Stalls, ribbons, and traditional costumes turned the square into a celebration of summer and heritage. The fair preserved centuries-old customs, offering a glimpse of rural life between the wars in a changing Europe. On September 9, 1966, an Apollo test capsule was unloaded from the USS Hornet at Long Beach Naval Station. The recovery tested NASA's ability to retrieve spacecraft from the ocean. Each exercise brought the United States closer to safely returning astronauts from space during the race to the moon. On October 11, 1994, Space Shuttle Columbia, mounted on NASA's carrier aircraft, performed a flyby of Endeavour after its landing at Edwards Air Force Base. The sight of two orbiters together marked a proud moment in spaceflight history, symbolizing decades of human achievement in exploration and engineering. In 1942, Imperial Japanese soldiers searched a North China village under the brutal Three Alls policy: kill all, burn all, loot all. It was part of Japan's campaign of repression against resistance forces. The scorched landscape revealed the devastating cost of total war inflicted upon occupied civilians across Asia. On December 12, 1980, Mark David Chapman, the man accused of killing John Lennon, was escorted under heavy security back to Bellevue Hospital. His face was hidden, surrounded by police. The world was stunned, mourning a musical legend while confronting the senseless act that ended an era of peace and art. On April 19, 1956, actress Grace Kelly walked down the aisle in Monaco, marrying Prince Rainier III. Her lace gown, serene smile, and Hollywood grace captivated the world. The wedding transformed her from film star to princess, blending cinema glamour with European royalty in a story that defined elegance. In 1869 Philadelphia, members of the Knights of Labor gathered proudly. They were among America's first organized labor unions, demanding fair wages and humane conditions. Their movement gave voice to the working class during the Industrial Revolution, shaping the foundation of modern labor rights in the United States. In 1960s Hamburg, shoppers wandered through a lively flea market, browsing antiques, tools, and trinkets from post-war Europe. The air buzzed with bargaining and curiosity. These markets captured the spirit of recovery and renewal, where everyday people searched for value, nostalgia, and stories among the remnants of the past. Around 1981, French singer Françoise Hardy posed for a promotional postcard for the Florinash record label. Known for her cool elegance and poetic voice, she became an icon of French pop culture. Her minimalist style influenced generations, reflecting the effortless sophistication that defined European music and fashion in that era. In late 1916, Austro-Hungarian river monitors fired upon Romanian positions along the Danube. These armored gunboats supported the Central Powers campaign in the Balkans, their heavy guns echoing across the riverbanks. The photograph captured a rare view of naval warfare in Europe's inland waterways during the First World War.